What's up? This is EJ Stewart.
What if I drop 40 days, 40 nights?
All you are your words. If there's anything you learned about me, I'm going to keep it 100 with you.
My skill shot will hold for your city for 40 days.
Rest in peace to all my ops.
Let's go!
Let's go is right. What's up? This is EJ Stewart. You are watching 40 Days and Counting with your boy EJ Stewart, where I do 2 live stream shows per week. One Tuesday, 6 p.m., one Friday, 8 a.m., and this is going to be a fun show today because we're going to be talking about NBA Finals stuff. So we got a competitive series now. The Spurs have won a game on the road, meaning that this is now a 2-1 series in favor of the New York Knicks after a really strong bounce-back performance from San Antonio last night. We will hear from Stephon Castle, who made quite a bold statement to NBA Today and ESPN and talking about how the rest of the series is going to go. We're going to talk about what happened in Game 3 and what to expect from Game 4. We're also going to hear from someone that I didn't expect we'd have to hear from in the show, but we're going to have to hear from them today because there's some news regarding the NBA Finals. And that's going to be the head of refereeing in the NBA, Monty McCutcheon, because the NBA is reviewing a play involving Victor Wembanyama and Jalen Brunson that was a non-call, but has grabbed a lot of attention because of the physicality and the nature of it from Victor Wembanyama being aggressive towards Jalen Brunson. It was a play that was not called a foul at all. There is a chance that retroactively it could be upgraded into a flagrant foul. And that is not nothing, just in the sense of like housekeeping. You can get a certain amount of flagrant fouls and be in trouble in terms of being suspended. I don't think Wemby's anywhere close to that, so I don't think that's necessarily the situation. But it is at least symbolic of maybe what we have seen in this series in terms of the refereeing. So we will talk about that as well. We'll also talk about the mayhem. The mayhem that happened in Manhattan after the game, where there were brawls happening outside of Bryant Park. I assume some maybe inside Bryant Park. The videos I saw seem to be outside of Bryant Park, which is in Midtown Manhattan. That was where the watch party happened. Because there was no watch party outside of Madison Square Garden due to President Trump's visit to the Garden, watch parties were held. If you're not from New York City, Bryant Park is about 8 blocks up north of Madison Square Garden. Not particularly close, but not that far. But about 8 blocks north is walking distance for sure. Maybe a 10-15 minute walk. There was the watch party that was held and hosted by the city, and the events that happened after were quite ugly. There's video out there of mobs of people punching, one guy throwing a bus sign or swinging people with a bus sign, and it sparked a conversation about just like how nasty are things getting, and our Knicks fans the one taking it too far. So we'll give you the latest on that and where the legal stands on that standpoint. And then outside the NBA Finals, we got some other football stuff to get to. So we'll talk about some stuff happening in the NFL. Aaron Donald sounds like he could be on his way back, and that would be some massive news for the Los Angeles Rams, who have had one of the more eventful off seasons I've seen in a while, and definitely the most eventful off season of this season. The Rams have certainly been the off season team of the NFL this spring and going into the summer now. So we'll talk about what Aaron Donald may be doing in a couple of months. We'll also be talking about what's going on in Cleveland, where they have a quarterback battle that apparently is nowhere near close to being settled, if you hear Coach Todd Monken, who we will hear from also later on in this show. So we got that. We also got to talk some college football because there was a decision made regarding Brendan Sorsby. He is the quarterback for Texas Tech, formerly of Cincinnati, that was supposed to be banned for life from college football because he admitted to placing bets and involving himself in sports gambling. And a judge said, nah, never mind. He could play. Set him down 2 games and then let him go out there and play for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It was a stunning decision. I'm not that surprised. I know a lot of people were surprising. I'm not that surprising. We'll talk about that a little bit later as to why. But a crazy story out of college football that a star player who was banned for gambling is just no longer banned. And he's expected to sit out just 2 games and be suiting up for Texas Tech, and a team that will be certainly in the mix to win another Big 12 championship now, and a player who very well could be in conversations for the Heisman. This is a huge story, so we'll get to that. So much to do here on 40 Days and Counting. Streaming live in multiple spots, including live on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. New Generation Media, that is the hub. That is where all the creative juices come from when it comes to myself, my brothers, everything we're doing in New Generation Media. NU Generation Media is what you'll search on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you about what we got going on when it comes to everything happening in the world of sports. We already got folks who are coming in with early comments. We got Fofito on X, shout out to him, saying we do not claim those fans. That is right. We will talk about what happened outside of Madison, or outside, not Madison Square Garden, but outside of Bryant Park. And I got the fun thing and the awesome thing about content and the awesome thing about the internet. There's some bad things about the internet that actually led to some of the nonsense that happened outside of Bryant Park and in Manhattan last night. But the great thing about media, internet content is I get to put something out into the world. A lot of you morons get to say stuff back to me. But, I also get to say stuff back to you. So a lot of people have been wanting to get into my mentions from some of the most notorious sports cities in America and trying to lecture me about what it means to be a good sports fan, about what happened in Madison. So we're going to settle some scores here as well. Because, like I say, just like I do it anytime I do a show on the fan, I'm ducking no smoke. So you guys had a lot of fun in my mentions today. This is the get back here. So we'll talk to those idiots on this show as well. But shout out to Fofito. We absolutely do not claim those. I'm not even calling fans, those people who caused all the chaos yesterday. Shout out to my guy Rob DeRay. His favorite commentary I think I've ever had on the show was when I said that Draymond Green, when he was tripping Karl Anthony Towns and playing dirty. I said he was playing basketball like a scumbag, which is what he was doing. He's excited to hear me use that same language to talk about Victor Wembanyama, and I don't think I'm at the phrase the scumbag phase yet, but I'm gonna keep it 100. If I think it raises to that level, then he will certainly get that, and he certainly is, I think, garnering a reputation that he needs to be careful about. So Rob is live on YouTube. Fofito is live on X. You want to get in the comment section, now's the time to do it, but you can comment throughout the entire show about what you feel is going on with the Spurs, Knicks series, what's going on in the NFL, what's going on in college football. Also, of course, we're streaming live. Obviously, I mentioned on X, EJ_Stewart is where you find me there. Make sure you follow me. Shout out to the folks watching on X. And, of course, make sure you follow me on Buzzer as well. Buzzer, where we're streaming live. Awesome stuff coming your way. This is going to be a crazy fall when it comes to what Buzzer has in store. This is the next big thing when it comes to sports content. So make sure you head over to Buzzer. Make sure you search me, EJ205 Prep. Before you do that, make sure you sign up, because you got to sign up, right? And this is a great spot. All verified sports content creators, all verified fans. So a lot of these idiot bots that are in my mentions today, we don't got to worry about them losers. All the aggregator accounts who aren't real accounts, we don't got to worry about them. All those clowns aren't a part of Buzzer. I know I'm talking to real people, and you're talking to real people, and you're hearing from real people, and you're watching real content when you go on Buzzer. So make sure you sign up to Buzzer. Again, make sure you follow your boy. EJ205 Prep is where you'll find me on Buzzer. My dad saying hi. Hey, Dad. See you in a couple of weeks, because I know there's a big event happening in my life with the wedding coming up. So glad to see my dad in the YouTube chat. And again, you guys want to get in the chat, say what's up to your boy. Greatly would appreciate it. So let's begin the show, as we should, with the NBA Finals. And like I said, a great bounce back win for the Spurs. This was a game that they had to have, as I mentioned on Orange and Blue Bloods, which, by the way, is plugging everything today. You want to make sure you subscribe to the Orange and Blue Bloods podcast. That is my Knicks podcast, where we talk all things Knicks. Now we're talking all things NBA Finals, of course. And if you want a real in-depth perspective from the Knicks perspective, that is going to be the podcast you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to, make sure you auto-download, make sure you listen to, because we do fun stuff there. That also is a podcast you can watch on New Generation Media YouTube page. But when it comes to last night, as we talk about this here on 40 Days and Counting, it was a great bounce-back win for the Spurs. This was a game that I felt like they set the tone in the beginning of the game, and they set the tone in the end of the game, in the third quarter, and then they set the tone with how they played in the fourth quarter and basically shutting the water off the Knicks. And one of the things that we've talked about with the Spurs all season is where inexperience will plague them, and we saw that with how they ended game 2 and how they finished game 1. So 2 straight games where I think inexperience played them. Their athleticism and their defense will travel, and their defense and their athleticism and their quickness will make up for some of whatever they may be lacking in experience. And I think you saw that with how they put the clamps on the Knicks in a major way. And I didn't think the Knicks did a good job of finding solutions to battling that pressure. I think they, in many ways, led by Jalen Brunson, felt like the answer to fighting their pressure was to dribble into their pressure or dribble past their pressure and to kind of try to do it one-on-one when, as Karl Towns said after the game, that is not how this team has gotten to this point. They won 13 straight games in a row by ball movement, by a lot of Karl Towns running the offense. So I thought yesterday, and really the last 3 games, they've had great moments, but the offense has certainly been bogged down. And you never want to say this in the NBA Finals. I don't think there was a good loss in the NBA Finals, but I do think it may be easier for Mike Brown to get a message across about how the team is playing offensively because they lost than if they had won. Like, the first 2 games offensively also were kind of a slog. They scored the most points in this game than they had in any of the other 2 games. So in this game they lost. So they hadn't quite found their groove yet still offensively as a whole. And there were some problematic performances with Mikal Bridges being on a milk carton. Karl Towns takes only 10 shots and only has 1 assist. That's not a recipe for the Knicks winning. Landry Shamet was ice cold, where he's been red hot for the last 4 weeks. So there were some problematic parts about the game, this game particularly, that was a reason why the Knicks lost this game. But some of it was involving just their approach to this. Now, I think, again, going to the Spurs side, you got to give the Spurs a ton of credit. Stephon Castle, for a guy who's talked a lot, and we're going to hear from him more because he's not done talking. He's still talking. This is who he is. And I think at this point, to even complain about it or be upset about it at this point is silly. This is the kind of player he is. But for someone who talked a lot, and I don't think really backed it up at all in San Antonio, he backed it up in a major way in New York. And I think, along with Wemby, because Wemby was great to start the game too, I just thought his aggressiveness, he kind of had just a nasty disposition that you needed going into that environment. I don't know if that MSG crowd was as, intimidating, as hostile as maybe one would hope for the first NBA Finals game in 1999. And that is the reality of what happens when ticket prices skyrocket to a point where only rich people who probably aren't that invested in the Knicks are the ones in the arena. I thought they were still loud. I thought they were still fine. I didn't think it was a bad crowd. I know some people were, I think, maybe overstating maybe what they felt like was issues with the crowd. And, of course, the distraction that was President Trump. But I thought still you needed somebody with an edge, somebody that was going to come in aggressive, attacking. Besides Victor Wembanyama, someone had to join him, and lo and behold, his wingman, his other star in this, in Stephon Castle, did it in a major way. He was dynamite. Knicks couldn't keep him out of the paint. He was finishing extremely well. Those were the 2 guys. I mean, this was not necessarily even the greatest offensive performance from the Spurs. They did not get good offensive games from Fox, who did hit a huge, huge bucket in the 4th quarter, or Dylan Harper. But when you had Wemby and Castle playing at such a high level, and then I felt like those wings shot the ball much better than they had in San Antonio. Vassell basically didn't miss. He was 3 for 4 from 3. Those are the only shots he took. Champagny was knocking down threes. So, and Carter Bryant even came off the bench. That guy, he can't shoot a lick, and he's hitting corner threes. You just knew it was going to be that kind of night. And the Spurs, they took this game. They absolutely, they were the more physical team. I thought they were quicker to the ball. I think a lot of those hustle plays and extra effort plays that the Knicks were winning in the first 2 games, the Spurs won in this game. And it felt like the Knicks just waited kind of too long to start finally making some shots, and they literally just ran out of time. By the time they're in the game, it's a 4-point game, and it's about a minute and a half left. You're trying to get a stop to give you an opportunity to then cut it to 1 possession. Castle then, who, again, was great all night, hits a dagger 3. Just shows you just how great he was, but also they put themselves in a hole that they shouldn't have been in. They had a great second quarter. They were up going into halftime, and then that third quarter started, and they're throwing the ball all over the yard. Spurs once again picking up the defensive pressure, bothering them in a major way, and they took care of business. So now the series shifts to game 4, but there's still stuff to talk about when it comes to this particular game before we even preview game 4. So let's first hear from Stephen Castle, who again had this Stefan Castle, who had this awesome game, and he was asked when you approach game 4, are you expecting another Spurs W? He says, talking to ESPN's Malika Andrews, we want that and more.
Are you do you walk into Madison Square Garden expecting to win game 4?
Yeah, definitely. I expect us to win the next 3, but us just taking it game by game, quarter by quarter, and trying to walk this thing down. Like I said, those first 2 games really hurt, and I feel like it was an eye-opener for us. We don't want it to be that way. We want to, punch first and be on the front foot, but that's the reality of it now. So just trying to take it game by game. But yeah, we definitely expect to come into tomorrow and come out here with a win.
This is a bold team. These are guys that are not, they're flouting in the face of what you would expect from young teams, to be humble, to understand that maybe the moment will be big and they got to be ready for it. They don't care about that. They don't care about that at all. And Stefan Castle there basically saying, not only do we expect to win, I expect to win the next 3. You're talking about winning 4 games in a row. It's not the bulletin board guidance you would ever get in talking about sports. Like, A, you don't give bulletin board material to the other team. B, you don't look ahead beyond just the next game, which I know he tried to clean it up by saying, well, of course, we're going to take this game by game, quarter by quarter. But he's already saying we're going to win the next 3 games. None of this is by the book. But with the Spurs, they're not doing anything by the book. So that's who they are. They're going to live or die with this disposition. Do I love it? I've said already, I don't think that it's the greatest idea. I don't think that it's now you have to play. At the end of the day, all this doesn't matter that much as long as you go out there and handle your business, or you go out there and play. Again, I just felt like some of the earlier comments felt like they were very naive and felt like they were dismissive of the Knicks and of the moment. They lost the first 2 games, so it didn't look good what they were saying. They win 1, and now Stefan Castle's back talking this way. We'll have to see that now that they're moving back to what they were saying. Because I thought Wemby after the game, he said, we didn't take the first 2 games seriously enough. He said this to Lisa Salters, and I was like, sounds like somebody who maybe saw my clips on social media, or I'm not kind of kidding with that. But at the very least, maybe heard some of the commentary about, hey, you guys sounded a little overconfident and cocky, and you blew 2 games. Like, he sounded somebody reflective of maybe how he was approaching the first 2 games, which I said was just not serious enough. And Castle, he doesn't care. He's gonna go back to being the rambunctious guy who's saying, yeah, we're gonna win the next 3 games. So Spurs, again, they won, they took care of business, and now we head to a pivotal game 4 that's going to be massive. But we do have some leftover stuff to get over when it comes to game number 3. So we now have the NBA confirming that it is reviewing the whole game, but will be including in that the aggressive, for lack of a better term, I wrote in the obviously the lower third if you're watching, shove. I've heard people call it a bush or whatever, but it was a weird play. It's a play only Victor Wembanyama can really do, because you don't see guys that tall able to just, even guys as small as Jalen Brunson, just able to just like from a standing position push their neck hard enough to put their face to the ground. Like, I don't see it very often, but he's so tall that he can do that. But this aggressive shove they gave to Jalen Brunson that got a lot of attention because it was a no call. They just didn't see it. The referees didn't call anything. Jalen Brunson, after he got pushed, walked him down and said something to him, and Wemby kind of laughed. And now this is a play that can be retroactively turned into a flagrant foul. Now, that doesn't really do much when it comes to this situation with the Knicks, because at the end of the day, the Knicks already lost the game. But I do think it speaks to, just maybe the questions that we've had about the refereeing in the game, which is, are they doing a good job when it comes to officiating this? Because this is a finals that has been extremely physical. And like I said before, and I'll make it clear, I don't have an issue with a physical NBA Finals. dirty plays should be called flagrant. Like, call the things that are there. I'm not asking you to all of a sudden say turn a blind eye to things that are not there. I'm saying, like, I want physical play, but if a play is a flagrant, call a flagrant, which that to me very obviously was. If a play is a foul, call a foul. Don't call the ticky-tack stuff. Don't call the nickel and diming stuff. And if you do, call it even. I think the question has been, is the NBA calling it even? It's something that Mike Brown, as talked about a ton after the game on Monday, where he's questioning that. He's saying that, listen, we may be fouling, and I'm sure we are. It's a physical game, but they are fouling too. And when there's a free throw discrepancy of 24-8, that is in the second half. That is not reflective of how that game was being played. These are two teams that are trying to play in the paint. These are two teams that are going to be physical. I thought the Spurs, they won the game. They deserved to win the game. They were more physical. They were more aggressive. They were quick to the ball. But I agree with Mike Brown that it doesn't make sense that in a game like that, that one team has a heavy-handed amount of fouls being called, while the other team, when you can watch, they're holding, they're grabbing, they're doing everything that comes with the NBA Finals, and there are a lot of no calls that are happening in the second half. So he talked about it. Again, the Jalen Brunson, Victor Wembanyama play is one that certainly got a lot of attention, and the refereeing as a whole has just gotten a lot of attention. So it's never a good sign that refereeing is getting all this attention, that the NBA felt like they had to press the Monty McCutcheon button, but that is what they did. So for those who don't know, or maybe aren't old enough to remember, Monty McCutcheon is a former referee. He used to referee games regularly in the NBA. Now he is the senior vice president of officiating in the NBA. He essentially is like the law when it comes to like training officials and the head official basically of the NBA, though he doesn't of course call games now. And he was on NBA Today, which I think speaks to the NBA's sensitivity about the dialogue about how this series is going. And when you have a New York team involved, which means more eyeballs. First, we got Wembanyama involved. That automatically also brings more eyeballs. But you have a New York team involved, which means more eyeballs. And if the New York team is being screwed, that is also, just by the nature of the market, more people crying foul about how the NBA may be screwing the Knicks. So I think it's telling that the NBA thought, let's get our head official out there to maybe smooth things over and let people know that we are reviewing the stuff that's going on. So here's Monty McCutcheon talking about the specific play where he just flat out admits, yeah, man, the referees on the game, they got it wrong.
Certainly, I think we can all agree that a foul was missed on that play.
Right.
We have a big part of our job is to on-ball, off-ball exchanges between referees. Mm-hmm. We did a poor job of that here where we got two people on ball and we don't see the screening action. Yeah. Lots of fighting over screens throughout the game. And if we break down in our fundamentals in even the smallest amounts, we have the opportunity to miss a clear foul as we missed here.
And they obviously they clearly missed it, and that is the conversation that's not happening. Wemby, and shout out to Rob DeRay in the chat, clearing up the flagrant points for Wemby for this playoffs. So, as Rob says, Wemby has 2 flagrant points for the Nas replay. That was an automatic ejection. 4 points is an automatic suspension. So a flagrant 1 would give him an additional point. And then there were other plays, right? Like, people have pointed out a closeout on Josh Hart that was not called a flagrant, that absolutely could have been called a flagrant because they called one on Jalen Brunson earlier. It was actually eerily similar. Where I actually haven't seen too many of these plays where a guy shoots a shot and like you hit the guy's calf and then they called it a flagrant. I didn't like that call, to be honest. I didn't like that call, and I wouldn't have called it on Josh Hart, to be clear. I think that's different. I think that's a different spirit of the rule than the rule that normally gets applied. That feels more like an accident than a flagrant. If you want to call it a foul, I'm fine with it being called a foul. I thought the flagrant on Brunson was extra. The flagrant, now, just because they called it one way, they should have called it a flagrant on Wemby, but I don't think they should have called it a flagrant either way on the shot from Josh Hart. But as Rod DeRay says, you got the Hart closeout and the Jose Alvarado headlock, which happened also in game 1, where that also got glossed over as well, where Alvarado's boxing him out, and he just wraps his arms around his neck and just rings him around to get him out the way. So Wemby is not completely out of danger of getting a flagrant. So there is some significance to if he was issued a retroactive flagrant foul, if he gets another one, he could be in line to get suspended. So that's something he would want to avoid. Heroes Monty McCutcheon as well, saying that the league will review the play, but kind of notes that when they review these kind of things, they like to defer to the on-court referees' decisions.
You know, every game is reviewed by the league office post-game, the entirety of the game, and we're in the process of doing that today. Most certainly, it's important to note, though, as we do that review, that there's a real deference, just like in our replay center, Malika, that we want a clear and conclusive standard to upgrade something, because we do defer to the on-court officials. They're the ones feeling the moments.
Right.
They're the ones that are involved in the up and down of the game.
So, I don't know. To me, that looked clear and conclusive. I don't know what is clear and conclusive if you don't call that a flagrant foul. Like, there's wind up, there's impact, there's forceful action to the head and neck area. I feel like all this mumbo jumbo you hear from the referees or the referee analyst that, by the way, is conspicuously missing during the NBA Finals. What happened to Steve Javie? Doesn't he do this normally? Like, where the hell was he? We could have definitely used him last night because there were a lot of weird things happening. Even the play that Brunson was called for a flagrant, you had Richard Jefferson and Tim Legler saying that's not a flagrant. Like, they're like, oh, that's not. They didn't think it was a foul. Like, they were like, oh, that's definitely not a flagrant. I don't even know that should have been a foul. And then he called it flagrant, and then I think trying to play it off, they're like, oh, I guess that's a good call. Like, they didn't even like that call either. So I don't know where, my brother, shout out to my brother Kendall Stewart, of course, is my co-host on Difference Makers. I made NBA Draft Show on Buzzer. Like, he was like, why the NBA getting rid of the rules analysts feels like a weird decision. And I'm like, he was there during the regular season. Because I was watching old tape, watching these games that the Knicks and Spurs played during the regular season. And it was Steve Javie was complaining about a call that they made and talking to Michael Malone about it during the game. So I know they've had it. I don't know where he is now. The NFL rules experts are usually terrible. These guys kind of stink too. I'm going to say this joke and whatever. I don't care if people get mad. But it's not my joke. I won't say whose joke it is. It's someone else's joke. But I've heard someone else joke that those rules analysts are like police unions. Like, somehow they always seem to think that the referee made the right call, regardless of how terrible the call is. I find that a very funny joke. Some people will probably be offended. I don't care. But I typically, like, these guys aren't the greatest in terms of being honest about bad calls. But when you have refereeing being really brought into the forefront the way it has, I think a rules expert last night would have helped. I think that is fair to say for sure. I think that it should be ruled a flagrant foul. I think a lot of the talk around it means it will probably be reviewed as a flagrant foul and be upgraded. So that'll be something to follow throughout the rest of the series. The one thing I want to say on Victor Wembanyama, and something I mentioned last night, and I'll say it again and I'll expand on it, is he is garnering a reputation for this kind of nonsense. I'll elbow you in the head, I'll wrap my arms around your neck and throw you over, now I'll shove you in the back of the head, neck, and try to push you into the floor, we didn't even talk about hey, I'm going to whisper to my two goons on the bench, Biyombo and Plumlee, to go take out Jared McCain. Like, we're seeing enough of this, and I'm not even talking about it from a Knicks standpoint or Knicks fan standpoint, because that's not really the perspective I'm coming with on 40 Days and Counting. I want to speak to the NBA standpoint, that somebody needs to tell him to cut this crap out. This is not good for him to be doing these things in the NBA. As the new face. It's just not a good look. If Michael Jordan was known for choking people and elbowing guys in the head and all those different things, we wouldn't have sometimes I dream that he is me. We wouldn't have any of that, right? What you would have is Charles Barkley, I'm not a role model, grabbing rebounds in an empty gym for Nike. That's what you would have. The NBA doesn't want another I'm not a role model Charles Barkley-like figure for Victor Wembanyama. They want him to be Michael Jordan. They want him to be LeBron James. They want him to be Magic. They want him to be those guys. Those guys aren't known for being goons. Those guys aren't known for being dirty players. Those guys aren't known for going over the edge. Now, he should be competitive, he should be tough, and he should be physical, and I love that so much about his game. While he may be a a finesse player in some aspects. I love that he has so much of a old soul when it comes to how he approaches basketball. I love it. But I think if the league is going to want to make him into the star that he is certainly becoming, this kind of stuff is not going to help his brand. It's not going to help the NBA brand. Somebody needs to tell him, big fella, play physical. Don't let people shove you around. If things are going to get out of hand, that's where the Biombos and the Plumlees and the Harrison Barneses of the world, that's where those other, like, not important players need to then step up and step in for him. Not Victor Wembanyama. He shouldn't be the one, doing this dirty stuff, because what the league does not want to have is one of its crown jewel athletes, and that is what he is. He is a crown jewel, a special figure. What you do not want is him to muster up levels of animosity across the entire NBA because he is doing this dirty stuff that can't be defended. You can't defend that. You can't defend him shoving Jalen Brunson's head into the ground. You can't defend him elbowing Nas Reed in the head. You can't defend him putting Alvarado in a chokehold. You can't defend those things. You can't. And what worked for the likes of Michael Jordan was that he was not universally hated by most of the fans of the NBA. Most of the fans loved Michael Jordan, except for New York City and Cleveland. And even those cities were like, damn, this guy's amazing. What can we do? They can only hate him so much. Magic Johnson was only hated in Boston. Everywhere else, he was loved. He was a superstar. He was a celebrity. Like, LeBron James, before the decision, was hated by nobody. Maybe Detroit. Like, he wasn't. Otherwise, he really wasn't hated by anybody. The decision happened, and that muddied things. We know how that whole thing went. So his basketball legacy eventually ended up being, complicated as a kind of hero of everybody. But he's not. Nobody thinks of him as a dirty player. People think he flops. People think that he maybe jumps teams, but nobody thinks that he's dirty, right? Like, I think when you get to be a dirty player, those are the guys that are not. Those are guys who are the most unpopular players in the league. The Draymond Greens, the Bill Lambiers, Rodman was popular, but Rodman was a bad boy. He wasn't someone the league promoted. He wasn't someone the league will put out in front and say, hey, this is one of our stars and we want you to market around. Like, no, he just garnered attention because he was just so damn cool and different and weird. He just was on his own planet. It wasn't the NBA pushing him. There is no enforcer goon face of the NBA. Like, that doesn't mix. So, I mean, listen, he's got to win, right? And if he thinks this, I don't think this crap's helping him to win anything, but if this is the edge he needs, whatever, and that's fine. I'm just telling you, for the sake of the league and for the sake of his brand, the whole I'm going to be a goon thing is silly. It's absolutely silly, and it's not something that's going to be helpful. In fact, it's going to be counterintuitive to what we are hoping is Victor Wembanyama presenting a new age of positivity and a new age of optimism about the future of the NBA. This kind of crap is not helping that at all. Last thing on the NBA Finals, and this is less about anything happening on the court. This is what stuff happening off the court. So there was a lot going on, obviously. So the NBA Finals game, first NBA Finals game in Madison Square Garden in 26, 27 years. President Trump, who was invited by Knicks owner James Dolan, elected to attend this game and sit in a suite behind a bulletproof glass shield, I guess. I don't know how you would call it. With that came extreme levels of security that was intense, even for an NBA Finals game. A fence was put around Madison Square Garden. Vehicular traffic was shut down for 4 or 5 blocks right in the middle of Manhattan. You were not allowed to even enter the area of 30th and 34th Street or 35th Street of Manhattan unless you had a ticket. It was, I've heard other people describe, shout out to CP the Franchise, I was watching a little bit of Knicks Fan TV. He described the scene as very eerie. It was very eerie. That he said there was just zero vibes. Like, it was just people either online or nobody. Like, there was no people congregating, celebrating, drinking, whatever. The typical scene you would expect before a Knicks game. None of that was there. One of the things that also wasn't there, which has been a big character of this Knicks playoff run, was the fan watch parties that were happening outside of Madison Square Garden, where the Garden or the city or both. I don't know exactly. I guess the Knicks are technically running it, but they're getting permits from the NYPD. They are putting up this massive screen, and fans are flocking in by the thousands to be outside the arena and watch the Knicks game right outside the arena. And those events have been, in terms of the actual game stuff, they've been very positive. They've been awesome. Knicks have been winning every game, so it's been a party basically out there. But the ESPN's been showing them during these games, so that's been a factor, a figment of this whole Knicks run. That also had to go away because they weren't going to have random 1,000 people who haven't paid a ticket hanging around while the president is around. So that meant that all of that stuff had to be moved somewhere else. So the city elected to hold several watch parties, one in Central Park, one in Bryant Park. Bryant Park being closer to Manhattan, for those who aren't from New York City, is about 8 city blocks away. It's a pretty quick walk. You can get there in maybe 10, 15 minutes, but it's not like it's right next door. It's separated from where the Garden is. So that is where this different party happened, in Bryant Park. And a lot of people were there. They were watching the game, but what ensued afterwards was mayhem. At least the videos I saw. That's the accurate way to describe it. So I saw from the ESPN article, 8 people were arrested at Bryant Park because of these incidents of violence, where you saw people attacking fans wearing Spurs gear who were walking down the street. Fans who maybe were at these watch parties. I couldn't quite tell exactly who was at the watch parties, or if these people would just happen to just be walking down the street and all of a sudden getting mugged. It was hard to tell. But these were very ugly incidents. Again, 8 people were arrested. 7,000 people had gathered for this watch party. But the videos suck. I'm just being real. Like, the videos suck. It's like guys ripping the jersey off of one dude. Again, I talked about one video where somehow a guy got a bus, the MTA bus sign that hangs for the bus stop, and he's literally smacking people over the head with it like he's Stone Cold Steve Austin swinging a steel chair. So this was mayhem. 8 people arrested. 2 were arrested for assaulting an officer. 13 were issued criminal summons. 5 police officers were injured, according to the NYPD. So this sucked. They released a statement saying the crowd became increasingly rowdy, violent, and destructive, and there were many instances of disorderly and dangerous behavior. They said members of the crowd, quote, engaged in incredibly reckless behavior that were large physical and violent fights that resulted in multiple injuries. The mayor emphasized that the overwhelming majority of fans had watched the game peacefully, but the fights and other disruptive incidents, including assaults on police officers in various parts of the city, are unacceptable and will not be tolerated. So I put this on social media, and I will say this 10 toes down with my whole chest. These people suck. I have no love for them. I hope that they are banned from any Knicks-related event ever. These people, Rob Ray wants me to call somebody a scumbag. I'm not going to go as far as say Wemby is. I will say that these people who started these fights are scumbags. I have no love for them. What I will also say, 10 toes down, is these people are not representative of Knicks fans. These people are not Knicks fans. These people don't know crap about basketball. They don't care about basketball. They came out to be a part of a wave, and then once the Knicks didn't win, they were going to create their own wave to try to get viral incidents and try to get clout, because unfortunately we have this social disease that is our addictions to the phone and our addictions to attention. That is the truth about America. That is the truth about people who engage in any kind of sports content. That is just the reality. And what I am not going to sit here and just like take on the chin is Philadelphia fans who, shout out to Spike Eskin. He's my mentor. He's my friend. He was invited to my wedding, so I love him. I got no beef with him. But when it comes to sports commentary, if he's talking Sixers, Knicks, or whatever, I'm always going to talk my ish. And I'm going to respond because he came out being like, oh, people are wearing Knicks jerseys and they're at Knicks watch party, but all of a sudden they're not Knicks fans now. So, like I told him, and I'll say this here. I'm sorry the Sixers have no motion. I'm sorry no one will ever care about that organization. And I'm sorry no one cares about the city of Philadelphia. But here in New York City, where Spike used to work, and here where I live, this place has motion. People love being here. People love being part of a scene. And like I said, there's a social disease when it comes to people addicted to trying to go viral, especially young people. So what we do have, which has been confirmed, because there are multiple incidents where people have been outed as showing up, as crazy as it sounds, I know, because nobody would ever care about ever doing this for the Sixers. You guys don't have fans. But people are showing up at Knicks watch parties who aren't Knicks fans. Oh my God, how is that amazing? It's impossible. How is that? It's happening. It's happening. People are showing up because it's a party, because people are going to celebrate, because it's the wave. It's the biggest thing happening in New York City. I don't know. I'm only 35 years old. It's one of the biggest things I've ever seen. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't, outside of anything tragic, of course, but like 9/11 or anything like that. Someone will have to tell me if there's another example of something bigger than what's happening right now. I can't think of it, but to me, like, this is as big as anything I've ever seen. So people want to be part of the wave. It's just how this thing works. So what happens is you have people who are not actually there for basketball. They're not actually there to want to see how the Knicks are going to play. They're probably rooting for the Knicks because they want to be a part of a celebration, but they're really just there to be part of a wave. And those folks are coming in, and once they realize, okay, the loss happened and there's no reason to celebrate, and to be honest, they might have done this if a win happened. They're deciding, well, let me find a way to go viral. Let me find a way to get attention. It's a mob mentality. All these people, one idiot thinks this is a good idea. Then another idiot says, yeah, let's do that. It doesn't take much for stuff to pop off. But you can't tell me, as someone who I know real Knicks fans, Spike knows real Knicks fans. That's what's funny about this, because Spike knows real Knicks fans. He doesn't know one person who was at this thing fighting anybody. I guarantee you, if I ask Spike, hey, do you know any Eagles fan or Sixers fan? The Sixers, they ain't win nothing. I'm not even talking about the Sixers. Any Eagles or Phillies fan? Do you know anybody that ever, maybe got in a run-in with the law, or maybe, was being disorderly during a celebration or at a watch party or something like that? I guarantee you he'd say yes. Guarantee you. He lived there for how many years? He don't know no Knicks fans that was there at that thing. Because they're not part of the community. These are people that are just showing up. They're chaos agents. So these people who are doing this, they're not representative of the people who have been riding with the Knicks all this time. They're not. And these like people who think they're geniuses, oh, there are all these people wearing Knicks jerseys. First of all, no, they're not. I watched the videos. There are some people wearing Knicks jerseys. I find it funny that most of them are like Conti Towns or like Brunson's. Okay, so you bought a jersey yesterday, I guess, apparently. But like, a lot of the videos are just people wearing random stuff. Like, just guys who just clearly just pulled up. They're actually not wearing Knicks content. Go to a Knicks bar. Go to any Knicks bar in New York City. So people that are not at an official watch party but are there to support the Knicks, look at the people and what they're wearing. You can't find anybody in any of these watch parties at bars and at restaurants and local spots that aren't rocking Knicks gear. But I can find a Brawl video where there's one Knicks jersey out of 10 guys, and you're going to tell me that those are all Knicks fans? You think I'm born yesterday? They're not obviously Knicks fans. Again, they were there because they wanted to be part of a wave. We have idiots like this. Like, I don't even want to name these streamers. I don't want to give them no love. But we got like idiot streamers who are literally pretending to be Knicks fans and are telling their chat, I'm pretending to be a Knicks fan. I'm actually a Lakers fan, or I'm a LeBron fan. Like, we have these idiots exist. Again, for you sorry-ass Philadelphia fans who don't understand how this could happen, because, again, your organization has no motion. It's going nowhere. No one cares about you, and you're stuck. You're having a hard time dealing with what is the current process, no pun intended, that this Knicks fan base has had to go through, which is people who are carpetbagging, people who are jumping on bandwagons, who don't actually, again, represent long-standing Knicks fans. The real Knicks fans. People that have been living and dying with this team for the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I'm not going to put some loser young person who's trying to get internet clout or is just like out participating in a mob mentality and say, well, this is a stain on Knicks fans. I'm sorry. I watch NFL. In fact, my job was to watch every NFL game every week and cut video and find sound. And every single week watching NFL games, there are massive fights happening at arenas and stadiums. It's an epidemic of people feeling like if you're not wearing the jersey of the team that I'm supporting, I'm just going to fight you. It's a problem that we just have regardless. And I said this on Maggie and Pearl a ton, and they kept laughing at me. I kept saying, y'all keep thinking this is funny. It's not going to be funny when something tragic happens. We have a problem with people thinking that somehow the viral thing to do and the viral moment to happen is to like start slugging somebody. It is not how it used to be. It's not. This is a new normal. This is a new thing. But, so because Spike, and again, Spike knows I got love for him. Again, he's my guy. And he's my mentor. He's wrong. He's wrong. And what he said made no damn sense. But because he retweeted this, and because he's got his loser Philadelphia Sixer fans who now want to come in and start talking about fan behavior. Are you kidding me? Are you people actually stupid? Philadelphia sports fans are trying to now lecture me on how fans are supposed to behave themselves. Is this a joke? Like, I don't even know how to explain that. I don't even know how to respond to that. I'm like, this is comical. This is comical. So I had Sixer fans in my mentions today. I'm like, go watch football, bro. Go get on the line. Go run some gassers. I don't know. Go get in the weight room. I don't know what you Eagles fans do. Get ready for Eagles season. I'm not even talking to you, little bro. Cause that's what y'all are. Y'all a little bro. I mean, how many times? That is Jalen Brunson country. Pipe down, little man. Pipe down. So we got these idiots who wanted to join my mentions. And then, I don't know how this got into the algorithm. Somehow, Boston fans wanted to come to my mentions. Boston fans? Do we really want to talk about Boston fan behavior and how they treat people and how they treat opposing athletes? Do we really want to go there? Really? Again, are these people morons? You could just simply shut the F up. You actually could. It actually is it's free. It doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't cost you any brain cells. You could simply just shut the F up and be like, oh, that's a terrible thing that happened, and I hope that doesn't happen anymore. Like, and you can actually listen to actual Knicks fans who have been in unison saying that, hey, this sucks and this is ridiculous. These people aren't real Knicks fans. They're not representative of Knicks fans. I don't know anybody that would participate in anything like this. Like, I don't know that. And again, you Boston fans, you know people who be saying the crazy stuff they be saying to athletes and the fans and the people. You Philly fans, you all know people who be climbing trees, fighting other fans, and doing nonsense, attacking. They attacked Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa. Who's going to see his brother going to the Eagle game. Like, y'all know people who be doing that stuff. So what are you talking about? So again, I will say, the guys that are doing this, they're scumbags, man. Like, I feel like, I've said this before, like, I feel like the side talk video that went viral in 2021, it is one of the biggest blessing and curses that we have had in as a Knicks fan. Because it is a moment that was organic, that was actually funny, and It was really representative of optimism for the fan base of real fans at that time. I always tell people, I always remind people, that video was not Knicks fans just standing outside celebrating. Like, it was the first game of the season. That video was Knicks fans filing out at Madison Square Garden, and then Side Talk being there and interviewing fans, and because of how excited people were, people then stood around and started being part of the interviews and celebrating because it was the Knicks had won this miraculous game. It was a double overtime game. They beat the Celtics again. Another little bro. They beat the Celtics in a double overtime thriller to start the season. And these were real people. There were real people who came out of the arena, and these are real like random New Yorkers that just happened to be standing outside 34th Street. And that's what made it awesome. That's what made it great. That's what made it fun, because it was authentic. It was real. These people have now seen that video that has been probably shared literally tens of millions of times, maybe hundreds of millions of times at this point. And they're going to the Garden hoping to have their viral moment, hoping to crash out, hoping to do whatever. And those, again, are not real fans. I'm sorry, we have a different definition of what a Knicks fan is. If you're telling me a Knicks fan is somebody who wants to go outside and watch a game outside so they can go viral on Side Talk. Sorry, not a Knicks fan. I don't care what a Sixers fan thinks. I don't care what a Celtics fan thinks. I don't care. I had a Pacer fan in my mentions. I'm like, all these irrelevant people showing up because they can't talk about the Knicks basketball. They've been dead silent. Their ass has been shut up for the last month. They can't say anything about that. So they had to find some kind of negativity to hop on. So like they want to talk about Trump. They want to talk about this fan stuff, and like it's just silly. Like I said, it sucks, and I don't know how to stop it. I'd be honest, like I really don't know what the remedy is for it, because I am interested in having it stop. I don't want this to continue. I don't want people that are being labeled as Knicks fans, people wearing Knicks jerseys, some of them that were. I'm not silly. I'm not saying no Knicks fans were. There were people wearing Knicks gear. There were a lot of people, the majority of them were not in a lot of these videos. But I don't want these people who are now representative of the Knicks, and F Knicks fans, representative of New York City. Like, I'm from New York, man. Like, I grew up in Queens. I've lived in New York almost my entire life. I don't want this to be something that that I'm allowing other people to just label onto my city. That's not how I roll. I don't know what you Philadelphia people. It's crazy because I got mad love for Philly. I have lived in Philly. I have worked in Philadelphia. In fact, at the radio station that Spike Eskin currently works at, like, I got mad love for Philly. I have family in Pennsylvania. Like, I like to visit Philly. It's one of my favorite cities. But this stuff was ridiculous. Like, hearing from all you losers today was just like, is it football season? You guys can have all the trash talk all you want, because you guys are gonna crush the Giants like you always do, and you're gonna probably win the division again. Like, and we could actually talk football. We actually talk about something meaningful. Unfortunately, both of our baseball teams kind of suck, so I don't really know if there's anything to say about baseball. The last time we saw you guys in the postseason, we saw how that went. But so maybe you will have the last laugh when it comes to this Mets season. I don't know. Like, maybe you will. And that's fine. I'm all good when it comes to talking trash about actual stuff you know about. You know about the Phillies and Mets rivalry. You know about the Eagles Giants rivalry. Like, you know that. And I respect the city because they are like New York in many ways, that they live and die with their teams and they know ball. You don't know anything about New York City. And you don't know anything about Knicks fans. So what I'm not going to do is allow people who don't know shit about Knicks fans telling me who a Knicks fan is. Give me a break. Give me a effing break. All right, I think I'm done with that. But shout out to my guy, Spike Eskin. I don't know. I wonder if he used my tweet, because he's been on this Knicks hate fan thing for months. Not even months, probably years at this point. I wonder if he used that tweet as a way to talk about stuff on his show today. I'm sure he did. But that's my guy. Again, I got nothing but love for him. I got no love for his idiot followers. Those people I got no love for. I got love for your city. And I got love for Spike. I got love for WIP. No love for these idiots that are like, when Sixers fan, when Eagles fan did this, why aren't you say? First of all, I don't really comment on like that. That's me. Again, I'm not like you people. Like, I don't run to talk about another city that I don't know nothing about. And maybe this is a two Americas thing, because there's culture things too about if you're not from a place and you don't know what's going, it's not your place to start coming in and just start like come off the top rope, slamming a city, slamming a community. That's not how I was raised. That's not how people from my community talk about other communities. So I'm not on that. So I think it's a lot of suckers who are like, oh, this is just indicative of New York. And I'm like, you guys invented rioting after wins and losses. What are you talking about? Like, what are you actually talking about? And I don't even use that against you. That's what's so funny. Like, these people kept like doing this. I bet you wouldn't say this about the Eagles. I'm like, no, I wouldn't, because it's not my place. I'm not from Philly. I know that they do this. I know that this is part of their culture, and they probably shouldn't. It kind of sucks. I don't like how they treat opposing fans. I don't like how they treat opposing what's names, but whatever. It's none of my business. It's not who for me to do. No one should be getting assaulted. Nobody should be harassed. Just like I'm saying in this situation. But again, these are people who just want to disparage the city, want to disparage the community that they know nothing about. Anywho, let's keep the ball rolling here. And one of the stories that I think is massive when we talk about the NFL, something that maybe Eagles fans can actually talk about because it's a place where they're actually relevant. And it's about this potential impending return for one Myles Garrett is more than back. He's on the Rams side. But the return of a guy who could play next to him soon, and that is Aaron Donald. And this was from Adam Schefter earlier today, where he said that at this point in time, it is more likely than not that Aaron Donald unretires. I had to like read this. I'm gonna read this headline one more time. Like, Schefter, it is more likely than not that Aaron Donald will unretire. Yes, that is correct, because like the way he worded it was weird, but that's how he said it, and I wanted to make sure I got the spirit of exactly how he said this. And this was the rumor that basically got started when you saw the Rams make that blockbuster trade last week that we talked about a ton for Myles Garrett. We saw we have my guy Michael Matthew, who is who did a phenomenal job coming in on the show talking about this. And he said, man, if Aaron Donald is also part of this equation, things are going to get real serious with the LA Rams, team that certainly can be looked at now as the favorites in the NFC by a lot of accounts. And now Schefter is saying that the chances are very high. In fact, I think I have some of the sound here. I'm going to see if I can play this for you guys, if I can pull this correctly. I didn't actually cut the sound right before the show, but I in looking at the story, I actually see it here. So I'm like, well, actually, let me just play it for you so you can hear it from Adam Schefter himself. This was on, I believe, this was the Adam Schefter podcast that you can, of course, check out. Shout out to Adam Schefter. Here was him talking about the chances of Aaron Donald making a comeback.
Realistic is it for Aaron Donald to return to the Rams?
When you talk to all the people involved, nobody is coming out right now and saying Aaron Donald is coming back. But everybody is acknowledging that it is a possibility. And the fact that it is even a possibility in June tells me that I think there's every possibility it will become more real in July. And I think if and when they present a plan to him as to how he would be used, I think it's more likely than not that he'll be back. Now, nobody said that. Nobody said that. Everybody thinks, we'll see, it's possible, we're talking about it, he has to commit to it. It still sounds like we're a ways away. He has not gotten there yet.
So that to me sounds like a guy that's like, I want to come back, but I'm not playing. I'm not doing no training camp and preseason, all that nonsense. That's what it sounds like to me. Or at the very least, mini camp. Like, I'm not doing any of this crap. But if you're telling me, like, and I said this during the press conference last week when we talked about it. I was like, that answer that Sean McVay gave when he was talking about Aaron Donald, like, we know how head coaches like to talk when they don't want to make something a story. Like, we are very seasoned as sports fans and knowing exactly the cadence, exactly how they deny and all those different things. Kind of heard none of that from Sean McVay. He was kind of like, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. You guys talked to Aaron Donald recently? That's literally what he said. He was like, if you guys talked to him, like, you guys might know more than me, but, I'm sure if he wanted to come back, he'd be great. Never once said, oh, we like the guys we got here, and, again, I can give you all the the platitudes that they give you. We like the guys we have in our locker room. At the end of the day, we're only focused on the guys that are in this building. Like, none of, exactly those platitudes I'm talking about. None of those things were the things that Sean McVay used when he was asked about bringing back Aaron Donald. It was, really? Well, I guess we'll see. I don't know. Do you guys know more? Listen, I don't know. I'm happy we got Myles Garrett. That's what he said. So, I think Aaron Donald's going to return. And I think he's going to play for the Rams this year, obviously. And this is one of the greatest defensive players to ever play in the NFL. And I would love to actually sit down and try to do a ranking of where Aaron Donald ranks among the greatest defenders of all time. But I think he's top 10. I think he's top 10. I think he's top 10, probably easily. Like he is as destructive as an interior lineman. He's the most destructive interior lineman I've ever seen. There are other people who you could talk about outside of my era. I started watching football. I always say 98 was the first season I really remember watching football because that was the Jets going to the AFC Championship game. So from 98 till now, he's the most disruptive interior defensive lineman I have ever seen. So much so that he racked up sacks as if he was a defensive end. He was ridiculous. He was incredible. So he's 35, and that is an older age. That's an advanced age, and it does make you kind of pause and wonder, how much does Aaron Donald have left in the tank? He was somebody that he was one of those guys that kind of kept talking about retirement. And there's that old saying from Bill Parcells where if you're 10% retired, you're retired. Or if you're thinking about retirement, you're retired. Like, once your brain even seriously starts to settle into the idea of retirement being a good idea, you're cooked. You shouldn't come back. Because the level of commitment and the wear and tear and pain you'll have to put your body throughout the course of an NFL season it's dangerous to say you're going to put yourself back out there if you actually think about sitting at home being a family man. Like, that's and I think that's a smart way to think about it. I think that's a smart way to look at it from that standpoint. So there is that aspect that I would be a little concerned about, and that he's 35, which is an advanced age. But like I told Michael, like I'll tell you guys here, there's also the aspect of, have you seen Aaron Donald recently? Because if you've seen Aaron Donald recently and you see his workout regimen and you see the kind of shape he keeps himself in, he's always been a physical marvel, and he remains a physical marvel. If there was anybody who would still be able to be extremely productive at age 35, coming off of not playing in a couple years, it would be this guy. He'd be the kind of person that could do that and still be really good. I think the question I have is, he could be really good, but this is already a team that has a pretty good defensive line, obviously, or at least one that they like and one that they've put a lot of resources into. I would have a little bit of a question about how is he? I know he's got to be starting, I assume, but are you really not now playing Braden Fisk as much? Is this limiting some of these other guys' snaps? Like, how often and how much are we seeing Aaron Donald playing, as part of the lineup? And what does he want? Does he want to be an every down guy? Does he want to play 60% of the snaps? This is a guy that was an every down guy that was, again, a terror, basically. This is a team that has a loaded defensive line, especially now with Myles Garrett. I would be curious, what is his actual role on the team? And what, is he already ready? Is he better than Braden Fisk? I'm not saying that that's some insane thing if he is, but Braden Fisk is a really good interior lineman, and Aaron Donald is 35. So it's just, these are questions I think that are fair. I know it may sound crazy because Aaron Donald is this highly celebrated one. Again, I just said, one of the top 10 defensive players I think of all time. But I think these are fair questions, and these are questions that the Rams will have to answer. I think it's something that you have to try. I think that if he says he wants to come back, you let him come back, and you see what he's got left in the tank. And if he doesn't got anything left, then the good thing is, okay, well, you got a bunch of other guys on the roster who can still contribute, and he'll be fine. But the other reality about this, too, is because Myles Garrett's now on this team, it should help everybody on the defensive line. It should help Kobe Young. It should help, everybody. So when you come into this season with this young defensive line, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Like, it should, though, all these guys should get a lot more one-on-one opportunities because you aren't going to have Myles Garrett playing one-on-one. Most teams are going to try to double him, which also could help a returning Aaron Donald. Like, Aaron Donald may come in, and this is somebody that lived with having to work through double teams and still be dominant. He may be coming back and not having to deal with nearly as many double teams. Like, if I'm an NFL team, and I'm looking at the defensive line, and I have a choice to double either Myles Garrett or 35-year-old Aaron Donald coming off retirement, it's not even a thought of what I'm doing. I'm doubling the guy that had 23 sacks last year. This is simple. But with that, it actually may help Aaron Donald be effective even at his old age. So this sounds like something that is happening. We'll obviously continue to keep following it, but what a story that would be if Aaron Donald does indeed decide to make a return to the NFL. Let's also stay in the NFL. Let's talk about a competition with a team that is the Rams are here. This team is somewhere down here. That is the Cleveland Browns. And we had Todd Monken, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, today talking about where things stand with the quarterback competition happening. And if you were hoping you would get some clarity on that, well, hope somewhere else.
I would have hoped that, but I like both of them. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's really as simple as that. I like both of them, and we haven't had the pads on. That's the hard. We haven't, as much as I'd love to have made that decision, either by someone separating themselves upward or downward, either way, which has not occurred. So, and we haven't even gotten to practicing against an opponent, putting the pads on, having a controlled scrimmage or playing preseason games. I would have loved to it. I was being honest. I think you'd love to have the starter named. I just can't do it. I'm not there yet. That's the reality of it.
So when he was asked, I would love to. He was asked, like, how do you feel about not having a quarterback named QB1 at this point? He said, I wish I could have gotten to that point. I'm just, as he said at the end there, I'm not there yet. I haven't made a decision based on what I've seen. So here's some other quotes from practice at the conclusion of the mandatory minicamp that ended. He said, once we get to, mandatory minicamp that's about to end, as there's only 2 days left. He said, once we get to the fall, we'll have to dissect the reps how we see fit. I just don't see it after the way Shedeur has played and Deshaun has played. They both played well enough to earn the right to compete. To start, Watson, this is the ESPN article here, Watson and Sanders have split first-team reps throughout the offseason workout program. On Tuesday, the first day of the 3-day minicamp, Sanders received all starting 11-on-11 reps while Watson took reps with the second team. Monken says that Watson will handle first-team reps on Wednesday, and the two quarterbacks will split the starting reps on Thursday. So he says he want to have a starter named, but at this point, he doesn't have one. It also sounds like this is a two-person race. So any Dylan Gabriel fans, sorry, this doesn't seem like this is going to end well for him. I actually wonder if he makes a team, given the fact that now he's in a situation where there's a quarterback conversation happening, and they haven't even had a conversation about whether or not he can also be a part of this. So it sounds like this is going to be Shedeur versus Deshaun Watson. What a quarterback competition! Like I don't even know what to say. Like these two characters, these two NFL figures being locked in a quarterback competition for the Cleveland Browns. Sounds like we're living in a simulation, but that is what we. If you told me 2 years ago that it's going to be a quarterback competition in a couple years, it's going to be Deshaun Watson still with the Browns, even though he hadn't played in a year, off an Achilles, and then 5th round pick Shedeur Sanders. I was like, what? That's the way sports is, though, right? So I think when I look at this, I think he's right probably to not have named the starter, and I'd be curious, how healthy Deshaun Watson is, but it seems like he's going through all the reps and everything, so I assume he's okay. I think for the sake of the Cleveland Browns, it's probably best that Shedeur starts. I think Deshaun Watson is probably the better quarterback, though I don't really know. There's a lot of variables. Like, Deshaun Watson hasn't played in a year. He was kind of terrible when he was playing, but he was, I guess, something resembling starter level in the NFL. Certainly not a star. Shedeur Sanders, I don't think really looked like a starting quarterback last year for most of the time that he played. So if I'm going off of what I recently saw from both of the guys, I would say Deshaun's probably a hair better. Now I think Deshaun may be shot, which kind of maybe lowers his ceiling. Like the guy I saw who was getting just destroyed by that offensive line and didn't seem like he was seeing the field correctly or seeing the field at all. Whatever ability he may have, he just may be shot, and now he has a torn Achilles. So like, he just may never be the same guy. And Shedeur is now. I think that Kevin Stefanski's a good coach. There have been questions about how committed was he to the development of Shedeur Sanders. I guess we'll actually truly never know. I do think that Todd Monken is a really good coach, a really good guy to learn from. And if you're a young quarterback, I think he's the kind of guy you'd want in your corner. So I think he's getting good coaching, which is good. So that means he could be a much better quarterback from year 1, year 2. At the end of the day, he was a rookie, so we don't want to judge him too harshly. We want to be fair. So I think the best case scenario for Browns fans, and I don't know who guy they want to start. They definitely would want to see Shedeur, I think. But I think it's good for Shedeur because I think Deshaun, if he's playing well, has the much higher ceiling. And the Browns, I think, truthfully want to be in the Arch Manning, Dante Moore, name your favorite college quarterback sweepstakes. If you go and start Deshaun Watson, he may run into some wins. I just don't think Browns team that now does not have Myles Garrett and did not really improve their offense in any significant way. I just don't see them as a team that's going to rack up a ton of wins. They probably won't with Deshaun anyway, which is kind of why it makes more sense to then definitely play Shedeur, because like if Deshaun's not going to turn you to a winner, then what are we doing playing a guy who's literally only here because we cannot move his contract? But I also think there's the risk of like, well, I don't want to run into a 7-win season and all of a sudden we can't draft one of those guys that we want. Like, you want to be able to be towards the bottom. I think Shedeur starting probably gives you the best shot. And if you run yourself into 7 or 8 wins with Shedeur Sanders, that's not a terrible thing. Because then what happens is that means, okay, we actually found a young quarterback who's good, and we don't have to worry about Arch Manning. That's why I think the Deshaun thing I wouldn't go back to it. Like, there is a high enough ceiling that this thing turns around and somehow he's a winning quarterback for the Browns. That's never going to happen. I don't think it's likely that Shedeur Sanders becomes a winning quarterback, but it's not impossible. And if he does, that's a great thing for the Cleveland Brown organization. That's a great thing for the fans. If he doesn't, and he's less experienced, and he's probably going to be more, mistake prone than Deshaun Watson is, and we're losing games, and he's learning through his mistakes, good. Let's lose those games, and let's give us an opportunity to evaluate this young man throughout the entire season. And if let's find out that he's not it because we won 3 games, then great. Now we can draft Arch Manning, and we move on with our lives. That seems to be where this should go. I think that for the sake of Shedeur, I think it's good for him that he has to go through a quarterback competition. He didn't play well enough to just earn a job where he just says, okay, you're the starting quarterback. But I think the focus and the attention to detail and the habits you have to establish when you're trying to earn a starting spot, I think that is good for a young player. And I think this is the experience. And he's against somebody that's like live. Like, he's not against Deshaun Watson may be a much diminished player than he was 5-6 years ago, but he's still an NFL caliber quarterback. He's not Dylan Gabriel. Like, he's somebody that's real. That's somebody that, it's like they talk about with like, boxers that are coming up through the ranks and like they're fighting all these tomato cans, and then they get a guy who may not be a world champion, but somebody that, maybe he's been around the world championship or has had big wins. Like, it's like, okay, this is a live opponent. Like, it's good for this guy. Like, if he loses, then like, all right, he knows he's got a lot to work on, and this is gonna be a long journey. And if he wins, great. But like, he's not in some like terrible danger. Like, if he loses this quarterback competition, I don't think Shedeur Sanders' career is over. I think people say, well, Deshaun's a veteran, he's been a Pro Bowler, maybe he's kind of good again. That's gonna be the conversation. It's not gonna be, like, their team is out to get him, like it was last year with the Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel stuff. The team's out to get him, or he must really suck if he can't beat out these guys. This is different. So I think this experience is good. I'd prefer, if you were a Shedeur Sanders fan, I'd prefer he earned the job by beating Deshaun Watson, and I feel better about his chances in the NFL by doing that. than if he was just given the job, and then Deshaun Watson, who is again a multiple-time Pro Bowler and making like $80 million a year or whatever he's making, is just waiting in the wings, like just like waiting over his shoulder. I don't think that is a good environment. I prefer to have him beat him outright if that's what you're rooting for. So that's going to be probably one of the, just like last year with the Browns, that was a huge story with the quarterback controversy. This is probably going to be another huge story. Something tells me that this won't be nearly as much of a circus as last year was. Last year, Browns camp was an absolute circus with the commentary and the attention happening with the quarterback competition between Shador, Kenny Pickett, remember that guy? He was a part of this. Joe Flacco, who wasn't even practicing most of the time because he was injured, and he somehow still won the job. And then Dylan Gabriel. Like, the fact that it's a two-man race, the fact that I think Shador has a ton of fans. I actually saw, maybe it was Colin Cowherd, I'm not 100% sure, but somebody mentioned how he set a record for the most money ever made by an NFL player through the NFLPA licensing agreements, which is insane. He made like $12 million, something crazy. Like, and ever. He beat Tom Brady's record. Tom Brady was the last guy to have the record. He beat Tom Brady's record. So there was the hysteria around Shador Sanders and the popularity. He's just a very popular athlete. He's a very popular figure. He's polarizing, but he is also popular. Was insane. It feels like that temperature has been turned down. It's June. Maybe end of July, August, he's in the midst of an actual quarterback battle, or he's in preseason, and maybe all the crazy headlines and all the attention that we were dealing with, maybe that all comes back. I love for the chat. I love to you guys know how you feel about this. Like, am I off? It feels like the temperature on Shador Sanders is cooled. As someone who worked on a daily show, having to cover everything happening with the Browns, I just feel like I've heard less about this, less about him, less about that whole situation. It just doesn't seem, and maybe it's a good job being done by Todd Monken. To be fair, they just traded their franchise player away. So maybe some of the attention has been taken away from the quarterback competition to be like, hey, the most successful guy we've had in this franchise since Joe Thomas left, yeah, he's gone now. So I would get it if that community and that media, circuit is like not necessarily so zeroed in on everything Shador, but it does still feel like just a stark contrast from what last year was, where Shador Sanders, whether he's driving a brown or a green, Range Rover, that was a conversation of topic on sports shows around this time of the year. I'm not even joking. I'm actually being 100% serious. Like, it just hasn't been all that, which I also think is great for Shador. Like, all those things are great. I think because I think the fans and support, all that stuff is good for him. It's good for anybody. Obviously, it's good monetarily, but it's good to have a lot of people who support you. I do think that what I've said before is one of the problems I've had with him, or one of the criticisms I've had with him. I feel like sometimes he has played too much to that crowd and played too much to the social media fan base that I think is not reliable. Because similar to what I said about the Knicks fans, there are a lot of people who use certain moments or use certain teams or certain figures to garner attention, garner engagement, garner clout. And I'm not at all trying to say that Shador and his fan base is fake. That would be silly. That's, again, he made $12 million. He broke a record for the amount of people who wanted to buy licensed merchandise solely for Shador Sanders. But what I think comes with that, though, is like when we hear, him talking about his haters, or him, responding to what, this pundit said, and a lot of it is because he is so online, he is so social media savvy. Some of these things that maybe aren't nearly that big a deal, or shouldn't be that big a deal to a franchise QB, I think he has rabbit ears a little bit, and he starts to kind of like hear this, hear that, and like want to react to it, want to respond to it, and get the clap back, and all those things, and those things are all distractions. So I think the lack of hysteria around this quarterback competition is great, because I don't think he has to worry about like trying to silence the haters. I don't think he has to worry about trying to play to the mob that loves him. Like, he's not playing to anybody. He's just playing. He's just competing. He's just a guy in an NFL community trying to win an NFL job. And I think this is probably the most normal football environment he has had probably since high school, which I think, again, all these things I think are good for him. So that, again, will be an interesting story to follow. But again, one that's not garnering nearly as much attention as it had in previous years. And finally, last story we'll do before we get out of here. And I want to thank you guys once again for checking out 40 Days and Counting. My dad says great points on the Knicks stuff. Thank you, Dad. Thanks for watching. Rod the Ray saying, Queens. Yes, Queens get the money. Queens in the building. That's when I talked about how I'm from Queens. And, again, I don't know what you Philly people do. I don't know what you Boston people do. I don't. The whole I'm going to talk on a community I know nothing about. That's not how I was raised. It's not. So, again, that's some sucker shit, if you ask me. And I'm always going to combat it. I'm never going to shut up. I'm never going to just take it. So get used to it. Get used to it. I ain't going nowhere. But yes, Queens get the money always. Shout out to my guy Rod the Ray, fellow Queens native. But yes, thank you so much for watching the show. Of course, again, make sure you follow me on X, EJ_Stewart, Instagram, Action EJ. Also TikTok, Action EJ. Make sure you follow me there. Make sure you give your boy some support on TikTok. Greatly appreciate it. Again, make sure you follow me on Buzzer. You could just search my name, EJ Stewart. I come up pretty easily. But also, you could search my tag, EJ205Prep, and you could find me on Buzzer as well. And while you're there, make sure, you got to do this first before you even do all those things. So before you do that, go to Buzzer, sign up, become a verified fan. Or if you're a content creator, you're someone who wants to be part of the Buzzer community, and you're watching this, 5 stars, no notes. Awesome people, awesome community that's being built, awesome platform that's being built. Really excited about the future of Buzzer. So make sure you head over, just search Buzzer official on X, or search Buzzer mobile on your app store to sign up, or you can just go to buzzer.com to sign up. And you can watch shows like 40 Days and Counting live. You could also watch my Buzzer exclusive NBA draft show, which will be on Thursday night with my brother Kendall. Difference Makers. That is all on Buzzer, and plenty of other amazing content with amazing content creators. So make sure you follow us everywhere we are streaming. Now, last story. This is a wild one. It's stunning, but it's not surprising. So, a judge ruled that Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby, I'm sorry. Apologies for that typo. Brendan Sorsby will be allowed to participate in this upcoming college football season because he filed a injunction that was granted. So the NCAA ruled that he would be banned for life because he admitted that he had gambled on football. He gambled on sports, gambled on college football, including placing bets on his former Indiana Hoosier football team. So this is one of those hook, line, and sinker deals where he was accused of maybe being involved in sports gambling. He was interviewed about it. He admitted to doing it. He said that he gambled. He said that he sent money to people to place bets for him, including for his own team. And then consequences. You get consequences when you do all these things. And the NCAA decided to ban him because the rules are pretty cut and clear with the NCAA. Is that if you decide to gamble on sports and gamble on your own sport as well, you are permanently banned. That's just how things go. Again, Sorsby was permanently ruled ineligible after admitting to placing thousands of bets over 4 years. Again, including ones on his own team. NCAA rules hold that any player who gambles on their own team or another in their athletic department will not be allowed to participate in college athletics. Rules are cut and dry. But a judge said, I don't care. And he threw it out. Lubbock judge Ken Curry decided on Monday that he was not going to move forward with this. He said that this decision was made because Sorsby would, quote, suffer probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if he were not allowed to participate in the college football season. While his case, which is, he is trying to work through the courts, is being adjudicated. Specifically, the judge ruled that Sorsby would lose access to high-level training and the ability to maximize his athletic potential, thereby complicating his decision to enter the NFL supplemental draft. So, I think when we talk about college football and just the TV product of watching college football, Brendan Sorsby is really good player. He was one of the star guys coming out of the portal. He was somebody that I didn't think Miami really was going to be seriously into him, but I did have my eye on him for a potential Miami Hurricane, transfer. So he was somebody that was on my radar. Ironic, 2 years in a row, there's been a transfer quarterback. Last year, you have John Mateer. This year, you have Sorsby, where there's something going on with gambling. This one seems a lot more egregious than the incidents with John Mateer. Both guys I wanted to potentially be Miami Hurricanes. But on the football side, for the TV product, it's best that Brendan Sorsby gets to go out there and, well, assuming Brendan Sorsby is not involved in fixing games, which I just think flat out has to be said. This is not, I'm casting aspersions or I'm being unfair. Like, given the information that we know, if we were to assume he's not going to in any way be fixing games, his talent makes him someone that would be suited to be a great watch and someone that makes college football more fun on Saturdays watching Texas Tech, because he's a good player. That's the reality. There is the other side, that the fact that I have to even say, as long as he's not fixing games or as long as he's not betting on games again and all these other things, is a massive problem and a massive elephant in the room that you cannot ignore. That is a huge thing with this. And I just think, the message being sent by this judge that if you break rules, you don't have to suffer consequences for them. Or at the very least, you shouldn't have your future be impacted by mistakes you made today. That is just not how anything involving the legal system is supposed to work. All the time, the decisions you make currently impact your future. And the judge says, I don't care. Throws a book at you, throws you in jail. Like, there's not no, I'm worried about your ability to still be a football player. Like, I don't think when Mike Vick was convicted of dogfighting, they didn't think, well, we could throw the book at you and put you behind federal bars, but that would injure your potential to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So we're going to allow you to not have to go to jail. Like, that's not how this stuff works. So what we have is a true problem, a true epidemic, and it's probably a problem we just have in society. We have judges who are clearly in the take. At least that's my opinion. That is my opinion. I want to make that clear. If they're not, I'm sorry, and I apologize for that. But I just think that what we're seeing too often, whether it was Trinidad Chambliss or whether it was this situation, or really it seems like almost any situation, and I'm not someone who wants to defend the NCAA. The NCAA sucks. I hate them. But it's just doesn't matter what the situation is, pretty much. If you want to just flout whatever rules that are established by the governing body, that is supposedly the governing body of college sports, you can just go to a judge and argue some cockamamie case of why what they're doing is unconstitutional. Or, again, you don't even got to argue it. Just say, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on. This needs to be viewed even more. And I want to fight this, but we don't got time because the season's about to start. So what are we going to do? And they can just say, oh, you know what? Let's just hold off. You can't not let this guy participate while we're deciding on a case that does not matter once the season starts. Like, once Sorsby is playing and they're saying this court case won't actually be, like, adjudicated until after the season, nobody cares about whether or not Brendan Sorsby, in fact, he wouldn't care if he is exonerated or not exonerated after the season's over. At that point, he will already be trying to work out for the NFL. He will already be in the NFL draft if he's good enough. So you're not gaining anything out of saying, well, we need to wait until whatever. It's silly. And then the reasoning being like, well, he can't, it's going to hurt his NFL career for the time it's going to take to actually make the court case go through. Well, he shouldn't have bet on games, bro. What is this? Like, he shouldn't have bet on games. He shouldn't have done the thing that put him in this situation. And he put his future in the hands of a governing body that has clear rules that he agrees to when he signed. Like, the NCAA, I make this, you want to talk about, like, the minimum athlete I was. Like, I remember when I was, like, trying out to play for, like, Hunter College D3 basketball. Like, you have a symposium for D3. There's a symposium where it's like they take 2-3 hours just to tell you everything that goes involved with like playing potentially college basketball for the NCAA. There's a long contract and waiver you have to sign that tells you all the rules about what you can and can't do. Like, it's cut line and sinker in terms, hook, line, and sinker in terms of like, and that's not the right word. It's cut and dry. That's the word I was looking for. I'm mixing my euphemisms there. It's cut and dry, like what's allowed, what's not allowed. You may not read all of it because it's a lot, it's long, but if you read it, it's pretty cut and dry what's allowed and what's not allowed. And what's not allowed is you can't bet on your own team. You can't bet on the athletic department that you were involved in. It's very simple. And it's like, duh, we don't want the games in any way to potentially be compromised by people who are willing to put, the actual outcome of the game in the hands of bettors. Like, it's, again, duh, that's obvious. So the fact that this judge is like, well, this is going to be cause probable, imminent, and irreparable injury to his athletic future. I'm like, what about the probable, imminent, irreparable damage that would happen if we're putting a person out there who may have been fixing games? Like, what if that? Or even simply betting on games. Like, I think to me, the whole even like a guy betting on games to me is still like, some people say, oh, does it make a difference if you're betting on your team or not? First of all, he was betting his own games. We say, okay, well, he wasn't betting against his team, so he wasn't like he was the Terry Rozier. I'm like, no, that's bad too. Because if you're not in your right state of mind and you have something outside of just a simple, goal of I need my team to win just because I'm fighting for good old blue or I'm trying to get to the NFL, whatever the case may be. But if you're not, if somehow there's other factors involving other people involved in your decision making, or they're impacting your decision making because of a point spread or because of a game you're trying to win, like, you may end up taking risk and doing things you wouldn't typically do if you were just simply playing for the love of the sport, not worrying about a point spread, not worrying about over and under, not worrying about those things. So it does matter if the guy, whether they're rooting for their own team or betting for their own team or not, it does matter if that's a part of it. And I know he has said that he is dealing with gambling addiction, and I don't take any addiction lightly if that is what he is dealing with, and I'm not going to question that he's not. Like, I wish him well. I know they say he is getting treatment, and I hope that he continues to get that treatment and continues to follow through with whatever he needs to do to get over this or to combat this, because any addiction is something you stick with and you don't beat it. You have it and you fight it every day. So I hope he fights this every day, and I hope that he's getting all the support he needs to fight that. But again, just because you have an addiction doesn't mean that you get to now impact everyone else who is involved in the sport, who watches the sport, your teammates, the fans, the people who are betting, who now you're a factor in the game where you're also part of the betting community. That you're not owed that. And I don't know what it is with this judge that thinks that Brendan Sorsby is owed an NFL career or owed the opportunity to help his NFL stock. That's ridiculous. And I think it's silly also just, again, how these cases are going where, again, these judges who, it's, again, if you're talking about, Trinidad Chambers, let me get a judge from Oxford, which is this guy, let me get a judge in Lubbock. Like, I'm like, what is this? Like, this looks ridiculous. This looks like a kangaroo court. It doesn't look legit. It looks biased. It looks like it's, again, some people are taking the take. And it's I don't know how, again, this is another thing, similar to the thing with the fans fight. I don't know how this thing gets fixed. I just feel like if I was any player, if I was worth anything, I had a community and fans and, not fans, but a community and boosters and a whole athletic department behind me, I would just break every rule and then just fight it in court. Like, because they don't ever lose. They basically win all these cases. You want to be 27-year-old and play college football again? Sure. You want to play in the NBA and then go back to college basketball? Sure. You want to gamble on football and play football again? Yeah, go ahead. Like, what is this? I don't think. Besides, again, maybe college football fans want to see Brendan Sorsby play, so maybe the college football fan will be happy overall. Like, okay, well, at least Sorsby's out there. It makes Texas Tech an interesting team this year. And no, Red Raider fans, of course, going to celebrate, and I'm not even judging them for celebrating, because again, I don't do that. Like, yeah, you got your quarterback. He's a star. I hope he's not having issues with his addiction. I hope he's not, and I don't mean that facetiously. I mean serious. Like, I hope he's not having, issues where he does something and he starts betting again or whatever. I hope that doesn't happen to him. But yeah, if he's on the up and up and he's ready to go, then great for your team. But this, I think generally, I don't think fans want guys who are out there who have bet on games. I don't think fans want 25-year-old quarterbacks. I don't think this is actually what college football fans want. I don't think this is what sports fans want. I think these individual communities want these individual players because they help their team. If you're Alabama, you want a former G League guy to come in and play for you during the regular season. If you're an Ole Miss fan, you want Trinidad Chandler's back for another season in college football. If you're a Texas Tech fan, you want Brendan Sorsby to play. Those fans, those communities, yeah, okay, it's helping them. Largely, I think college football would have been totally fine if Brendan Sorsby and Trinidad Chandler didn't play this year. Like, it's not some permanent injury to the sport. Again, you want to know what is a permanent injury to the sport? If you have a gambling crisis or a gambling scandal to the likes of what happened with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier in the NBA. If that happens in college football, that is a crisis. That is irreparable, imminent damage to the sport. That's what matters. That's what should matter to the entire thing. And it's insane that, again, I'm defending the freaking NCAA, but the idea that, like, the only thing worried about by this judge in this court was injury and irreparable damage to Sorsby and not irreparable damage to college football, to the NCAA, as much as I hate the NCAA, it's just silly. I'm not a legal person, but that just seems ridiculous. And it's not something that I really can support or really show any love for. I mean, so this was lousy, man. Like, it's lousy. It's rotten. The whole sport's rotten to the core when it comes to what just feels like this connection where people can just go to a judge and they get these things won. I remember when you couldn't win anything going to the judges. Like, things have just changed so much. Like, I remember Maurice Clarett was trying to get eligible and then trying to go to the NFL. And I felt like I was watching these things with his court cases every week, and he was losing all these joints. Like, I remember back in the day, like, people would try to do these court things and it wouldn't work. I don't know what happened. I don't know what loophole in the legal system these people have found. I know the legal system itself has decided that they're done with the NCAA because of its hypocrisy, which is that I agree with. Like, it does suck. There's a lot of hypocrisy, and there are aspects to it that it's a shell game. Like, it's a shell game for a lot of these people who don't actually play sports to make millions and millions and millions of dollars and enrich themselves. We know the game when it comes to the NCAA. That doesn't mean, again, for the nature of the sport or for it being the governing body, what the rules are within its own sport, that they shouldn't be allowed to enforce any rules. Like, they're not allowed to enforce any rules, which is like, what message is being sent? Like, I guess the message that they want them to relinquish and allow the Super League to happen with the SEC and the Big Ten and whatever. Like, okay, can we, like, speed this up then? And can NCAA just give up and move on? Can we move on? I want to get past this. Like, I'm just so done with this, like, this. I feel like, and I've said this before, and this is my last thing before I get out of here. I've said before that I feel like we're in this weird no man's land part of college sports when it comes to football and basketball that kind of sucks, and we don't know what to do with it. And whatever comes next is going to be great and much better, but we got to just live with this nonsense that we're dealing with right now. Like, we're in this weird world where it's NIL, but it's not really NIL because it's teams are paying the money. But now the teams are paying the money, but they're still NIL. And you're supposed to only play 4 years, but again, you can go to a court and you can play for 6, 7, 8 years. You sprain your toe, you can come back next season. Like, you break rules, you gamble on football, you can come back. You literally entered the NBA draft, you got drafted, you can come back into college basketball. Like, there are these things where I'm like, this the conference of realignment is ridiculous. We got teams, we got Rutgers and Oregon playing in the same conference. Like, this is I'm glad the kids are getting paid. That is probably at the end of the day the most important thing, and I'm happy for that. And that should happen, and this should continue to happen. They should get more revenue. They should get more money. But for the fan experience, and it has nothing to do with the players making money. For the fan experience, this is the worst time. Guys can transfer just anytime they want. Like, they're just leaving places every single year, so you can't even follow an athlete at your school because the guy will be gone in a year. It's just that aspect maybe does have something to do with money. But to me, again, I don't think that's a money thing. I think that's once again, scholarships, NCAA rules aren't binding. So, like, you could say, well, this is a 1-year deal technically because you can cut me after a year. So I'm just going to go wherever I want and go for the next dollar. It doesn't matter that I signed a deal with this NIL person or NIL place to play here. That deal I could just break because at the end of the day, my scholarship is year to year, and that's not binding. It's the nature of this just like crappy time we're existing in college sports. And I firmly believe whenever we get, and I'm sorry to the smaller schools, and this is not how I would have felt 10 years ago, but it's how I feel now. I'm sorry to the smaller schools, to the small conferences, but whenever we get to eventually this like super league that includes most of like the SEC, the Big Ten, and then like most of the ACC and the Big 12, and I guess I don't know if the Pac-2 really would be a thing, but you know what I mean. Like once we get to that part of this development of college football, I can't wait. That's what we want. Give me the teams in the same divisions, so we could just have a Southeast division that has like Florida, Georgia, Miami, Florida State. You know, you want to put Georgia Tech somewhere in there. So we keep the rivalries. We keep the teams that we want to play each other. Again, the Pac-12 teams that all are scattered all over the place. Let's put them in the West Division. Let's just abandon the conferences. Let's actually put in I think eventually will be some more better rules about transfers and all those different things. Guys will be signed to actual contracts as opposed to this like facade of student athletes, so they can just break quote unquote contracts or break scholarship offers or whatever. Let's just like make these guys collective bargaining partners. You know, let them negotiate for what they're worth. But that means now their contracts are binding. They can't just go anywhere they want. And let's just be done with this. I don't know how long that's gonna take. I don't think it's gonna take quite as long as we think. I think probably within the next 10 years that's gonna be where we're at. But these 10 years to get there is gonna be painful. And this is just to me another example of like just this is the painful thing we're gonna deal with. There are no rules, man. It's just like I was talking about when way back when I was doing 40 Days and 40 Nights, and we were talking about the whole, the Duke fans that said about Darian Mensah going to Miami, and I'm like, there are no rules. You got Darian Mensah because there are no rules. You don't hate the player, hate the game. You can't love the game when it got you Darian Mensah and hate it when he leaves. It's just fight the system, which I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight the system. I'm actually ready to fight the NCAA so we don't have stupid stuff like this, where I have to defend the NCAA. I'm having to defend the NCAA because nobody's actually fighting the NCAA or fighting the actual landscape of college football, which is fractured and broken. And no one seems to have, none of the people that actually can make a difference seem to have, the right thing in mind. Nick Saban's like, oh, it's these guys making too much money. It's these people being like, well, we need to eliminate women's sport. All this stupid stuff that doesn't get to, actually solving these issues. I wish someone would, I don't know, wake up, man. Now we got a guy who's betting on games starting in college football who might win the Heisman next year. This is insane. This is actually insane. I hope the best for Brendan Sorsby in terms of I hope that with his recovery, everything works out okay for him. I wish him well. I have no reason to, unless he plays Miami in a playoff game, I have no reason to wish anything against him. But he shouldn't be playing out there. He made a mistake. A lot of mistakes. He's trying to get help for it. He probably should have, he entered the NFL supplemental draft and just dealt with whatever they're going to come with that and just move on with your life. There's so many people that have to, go through setbacks and actually overcome them. The message, I think these are still young people. I know they are men. They are men. They're not kids. But, there is lessons to be learned for young men who do make mistakes, who do face adversity. What I hate about this is these rulings from these judges that is so heavy-handed toward just giving the player whatever access needed to come back to play college football again or college basketball again. It's actually not allowing these young men to face any level of adversity. It's there was a saying, there was a joke that, once you leave college, you never go back. Because the whole point, the whole premise of it is that's a time and a place, that's a time and period for your life where you develop, you go through all the things you go through, and it sets you up for the real life. And then the real life happens after 4 years. And these guys are the polar opposite. They're trying to go back to a place where there are young people that are trying to still develop. What's going on? What is going on? It's weird. All weird. That was a show. That was a fun one. Thank you guys again for checking me out, man. 40 Days and Counting. Of course, like I said before, make sure you subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media. Make sure you follow me on social media. EJ_Stewart on X, where we're streaming live. Action EJ on Instagram. Let me see. Did anybody check in on Instagram? Oh, we got a couple people on Instagram. Shout out to my guy Andy Belvalacti, Andy BB, watching. Mr. Brownski to you also in there. Shout out to my guy Ray Jarvis. Shout out to Ray Jarvis. He was watching for a little bit. And Big Friendly, where the hell have you been? No, I don't mean to say that like aggressively anyway, because you know I got only love for you, Big Friendly. But where has Big Friendly been? We had some massive stories involving the Rams. We had one today with Aaron Donald. We had one last week with the trade for Myles Garrett. We talked about Matthew Stafford's contract extension. We talked about the Ty Simpson draft pick. And I haven't heard from my guy, Big Friendly. Big Friendly, who was a friend of the Maggie and Perloff show. He was a frequent caller. Always came in. Always had energy. Always had positivity. Was the man. Just an awesome caller. Awesome part of the community we built at Maggie and Perloff. And he has been a part of the community for 40 days and counting. And 40 days and 40 nights. But I haven't seen him in a minute. So I don't know where Big Friendly has been. Hopefully Big Friendly will be back Friday morning, 8 a.m. Because I'll be back live 8 a.m. And that actually is a good point, seeing Big Friendly there. Reminds me that we got to give a round of applause. People have been asking me a ton. And literally when I started live streaming, when I started doing any of this with 48 and 40 nights, day one of 48 and 40 nights, they were like, what's the future of Maggie and Perloff? What's the future of Maggie and Perloff? What's the future of Maggie and Perloff? And I kept telling you, like, if I can tell you something, I will. I'll get to it when I can. Or I kept telling you what I knew or what I was able to tell you. And now we are having some details about the future of at least one half of Maggie and Perloff. So for those who did not see the announcement, I will share my screen here. But let's give a big round of applause to with All City Network that she is launching her new podcast, A Must Win Game. Maggie, what can I say about Maggie Gray? There's not enough words. Her and Perloff. These people, I owe everything to them. And Maggie's been working on this for a long time. I'm wondering how much I can say about the process of this. And Maggie, by the way, I'm sure she will. She's already said that she'll make sure you have me come on and guest for her show. Maggie will definitely be on. In fact, I probably dummy myself. Probably should have had her on today. I didn't even think about that. I was doing so many different things today, getting ready for a wedding, people. But no, Maggie has been working on this for a while. What I will say was there was at one point an iteration of what's become a must-win game that would have included myself producing and I think Perloff being a part of it part-time. I don't know. I'm not a part of this, obviously, and I don't know what Perloff's involvement is of it yet. It was always going to be a Maggie Gray forward podcast, to be clear, for those who I couldn't say much, but I can tell you that was what it was going to be. But Perloff was going to be like a frequent, like basically the co-host and a very, very frequent co-host. Again, I don't know. I only know my part of it, which was I may have been producing, but that's again, Maggie's got a whole new team. Make sure you go support All City Network. Make sure you go support A Must Win Game with Maggie Gray. I certainly cannot wait. I'm actually curious, has an episode been dropped yet? I don't know if it has, but if it hasn't, man, I'm gonna be checking out that first episode again. I'm hoping I'll get an opportunity. I mean, I know it will because she literally told me, so it will happen. But I can't wait to be a part of the show in guest form. But that is the form it will be for me. So anybody who's been asking me, and I've been asked for 6 months, like literally 6 months since everything went down, and I've been asked what's happening with Maggie and Perloff. And again, I've always said what I can tell you, I'll tell you. And most of the time, almost the entire time, I was being honest with, like, you know, they were crossing I's, dotting T's on what they were trying to work on. And, plans change, things change, and things develop, and they progress. So massive, massive shout out. Much love. And again, let's give that round of applause to one Maggie Gray as soon as I can find my soundboard, which is frozen right now. But once it is not frozen, we will give Maggie Gray her round of applause. Okay, it's still frozen. Okay, here we go. And let's give that round of applause now. There you go. So round of applause and shout out to Maggie Gray. Really excited about the future of the new show. Of course, shout out to Andrew Perloff. I can almost assure you, I don't know. I've not spoken in intimate detail about what's going to entail this show. Again, I'm being honest. I don't know everything. I knew this was happening. I knew this was coming with All City, but I don't know the intimate details because I no longer was in the loop of producing this show potentially. But again, I'm sure Andrew Perloff will absolutely be a character of the show and a fixture of the show. I would assume. I don't know for sure, so I could be wrong, but I would assume that. And that was definitely the plan for what the first iteration of what we were trying to work on. And then with that, I guess I also, for the Maggie and Perloff community that was built, that, make sure you go check it, just like you check it out 40 Days and 40 Nights. Make sure you go check out Maggie's new show. Make sure you check out Perloff's work with Athlon. Make sure you check out Perloff's work. He's been doing some live streaming stuff as well. Actually, I want to make sure I get Perloff, what he's been working on. He may have it in his bio. Okay, he doesn't have it there, but he is a contributor to Athlon, and he's been doing a lot of really cool, exciting things. So make sure you go support Andrew Perloff as well. But yeah, for the Maggie and Perloff community, I just want to once again thank you guys. Like, the reason why I'm able to do 40 Days and Counting, Orange and Blue Bloods, all the content we've been doing, has been with a lot of your support. The reason why Perloff's been able to do what he's been doing, what Maggie's been able to do, it's all thanks to you guys. And our group chat is live. We literally were texting today, so it's not like it's like I almost think of it as like, oh, we're now dominating the world of sports in our own different corners and different ways, but we're all still very connected. We'll always be very connected, and we'll always be connected to you guys. So I just want to once again send my absolute love to you guys and thank you for the 2+ years that I had working on the show and working together with Maggie and Andrew and Bogish and Manny and those people, Kaplan. Those are my people for life. And again, make sure you go support a must-win game with Maggie Gray, because knowing Maggie is going to be fun. It's going to be cutting edge. It's going to be different, and I'm excited. I'm excited as just a sports consumer, because I always tell you, like, I'm like a sports media nerd. Like, I'm very particular. I know what I like and I don't like, so I won't tell you publicly because I'm trying to be a lot more respectful now about who I don't like. But I'll always tell you who I do like, who I got respect for, people like. I'm just that kind of person. So I'm excited about this. I want to see, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I had some idea initially, now I don't. So I'm actually curious, like, what is a must-win game gonna be like? What's gonna be the vibe of it? Like, is it gonna be similar to the vibe that we were discussing when we were working on the show together, or is it gonna be different? Like, that's gonna be now for me to know, just like you. So I'll be part of the community of a must-win game. So make sure you go subscribe to a must-win game with Maggie Gray wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you check out Andrew Perloff. Follow him at Andrew Perloff, and make sure you read his stuff at Athlon, because he continues to do his thing. And that is a show. Where's my outro music? There it is. Thank you guys so much for checking out 40 Days and Counting. Again, we'll be back Friday morning, 8 a.m. There will not be any NBA Finals games the night before, and there's not one even on Friday. So Friday's show could be pretty open. We'll talk NBA Finals, of course. We got to update what's happening in the latest in the NBA Finals. But we can get into a lot of different things. Still lots of stuff happening throughout the week. We haven't gotten so much baseball stuff in a while. Maybe we'll do some more baseball. I got to start watching some Spider-Man Noir. I also got to watch My Adventures with Superman. So fun stuff coming this summer. I'm EJ Stewart. Keep it locked here. I'll catch you later. Peace.